Hey everybody, thanks for checking out an episode of Beers by the Ivy. Today we got a special episode. Luke from Deljo Heating and Cooling, and now also a plumbing division is joining us. He reached out to me via email, liked the channel, said, "Hey, can I come on talk sports with you?" I said, "Absolutely." And also just want to give a shout out to his company once again, Deljo Heating, Cooling, and now there's a plumbing division. Been servicing the north side of Chicago for I think like 100 years or something crazy like that. So yeah, but we shoot the shit. We talk about Chicago Cubs. We also talk about favorite memories of Wrigley, where we like to go in Wrigley before games, after games, and we also even get into a little bit of Bears talk and Blackhawks talk. So yeah, appreciate you being here. For some reason, my audio is clipping. I apologize about that. It's bugging me more than it's probably gonna bug you. But other than that, great interview, and yeah, glad you're here. And please like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks. All right, everybody, welcome back to an episode of Beers by the Ivy. Luckily, we are joined by Luke from Deljo Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, located in Chicago. Luke, thanks for being on. Excited to get
Thanks
this
for having
going.
me. Yeah, thanks for having me,
I
Joe.
know we were just talking. Luke is a White Sox converting to a Cubs fan, so I thought this would be a super interesting episode in terms of just talking Chicago sports. And obviously, Luke's been around the Chicago area for a long time now. So yeah, Luke, excited to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a rough couple years being a Sox fan, so made a hard decision this past year to cut ties. Been a White Sox fan for now, I don't know, my whole life
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
And then last year's season just that was the nail in the coffin. I was a season ticket holder up until 2022, 23 COVID, and then last year's debacle just that was enough. That was enough for me. I didn't go last year at
It was
all.
the worst record in baseball, right?
Yeah, and some are saying that they're going to beat that record this year.
Oh, okay. Well, where are you at on like that team potentially getting a new stadium, Chicago? Does that make you fired up or is
Oh
that
yeah, like
who cares?
that and or Justin buying the team would bring me back, and I'm sure there's a lot of people like that. But dude, Jerry's got to sell that team. He's the problem.
Yeah, I watching that 30 for 30 on Jordan, I
Yeah,
was so shocked that he didn't step in and just say like the other GM, I forget his name, but like Kraus or whatever it was, you're out. Michael, if you want to go to run it back at 99, do it.
yeah,
I couldn't believe that. Like as the owner of a team, like you led the greatest player of all time, in my opinion. Like walk out the door and after a three-peat,
totally. Yeah,
that would never happen in today's world.
no, never. He'd get roll out the red carpet, right? Like,
Yeah. And then today, like it's the same thing with the Sox. And the Sox have been good, like a decent amount. Like, don't get me wrong, but for me, like I've never been to a Sox game, but every time I'm driving by, like I'm a Wrigley diehard. Like Beers by the Ivy is like to celebrate like the memories and moments in Wrigleyville just as much as me like tracking the team. Like I care more about like people drinking beer, having a good time, and capturing those moments than like the actual Cubs actually playing the game.
well,
But
yeah, totally. And I've always been like a Chicago fan. I've gone to both stadiums my whole
of
adult life.
course,
You know,
yeah.
and there's just it's just enough's enough, man. So
I love that. I love that. I drive by it and and I'm just like I just see like a it looks like a you ever been to Kings Island in Ohio? It's like
no,
a amusement
no.
park. Okay, anyways. I'm from Indiana, so like that's where you go instead of like Cedar Point. And it just reminds me of like a roller coaster, the stadium.
Like a run down roller coaster next to the highway.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So, but I think I definitely don't want the Sox to leave Chicago. I think it's cool to have two teams, but I do think they need a new stadium.
Yeah, they need a new stadium, a new owner would really spice things up.
Yeah, no doubt. You a Blackhawks fan at all?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was see, I'm not a Blackhawks fan. I'm actually a Penguins fan, and that's a long story from like when I was a kid.
Yeah,
But that run that the Hawks had and like the was it the 2010 run?
yeah, it was exciting, right?
Some of the greatest hockey ever too.
Yeah.
I was talking
What do you think about those crazy new bats?
oh the bats. Okay, see, I went on a rant yesterday saying that like it makes me mad because like how do the Cubs let the Yankees pick up this technology? And then some guy in a comment goes, "Well, they've been using those bats for a year. Nico and Swanson have been using them." I'm like, "Well, yeah, they had a down year last year, so I don't know."
Good sign.
Yeah, but I'm all for it's not cheating. I'm all for
I was listening to something,
analysis.
yeah,
And
something today that said that they meet all the criteria, the rules, and they're not breaking any dimensions or anything on the bats,
yeah, 100%. It's just being smarter than the rest of the people.
right?
It's like the Philadelphia Eagles play where they like jamming up the middle of Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
Really special, I think it's called. Like that's what I think this is.
yeah, totally.
It's
Yeah,
like we figured something out and we're gonna use it until it's banned.
yeah, right. And by then it'll be World Series.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. One of my buddies, he's a diehard Yankees fan. He comes on the show sometimes. And that last World Series run was it hit him pretty hard.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you don't want your team losing at all.
Totally. You going to the game Friday?
No. See, so I have my house in Indiana, and then I bought a place in Chicago. So now I'm here to move there. So
Uh,
I'm gonna miss opening day. Are you going?
no, in part of my transition, that's funny to say. Part of my transition, I bought some Cubs tickets this year, so I'm a season ticket holder now.
Hell
Uh,
yeah. Okay, so you're invested.
I'm invested. So I only live like 2 miles away, so we usually walk there in the summer. But
Cool.
um, yeah, we're going all in this year. I'm not going Friday. I think I'm going next week, the 8th
Awesome.
for the game.
Awesome. Yeah, where do you guys sit? Like, where's your favorite spot in Wrigley?
Oh, I'm in 103.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually sit bleachers. If it depends. Like, if I'm with my parents, we try to sit. I think it's
That's
like,
who you're with, right?
yeah, it definitely depends on who you're with in that stadium. Not a bad seat though. I mean, it's literally my favorite place in the world. There's no better. It's timeless. It's a classic. It's like Disney World. You ever been there and you're like, holy cow, this is just a happy place.
Now there's supposed to be like a new deck out there, right? Like a
Uh,
group deck or something.
yeah, I think it's kind of where, from my understanding, from the renderings, I haven't seen it or seen people film it, but from my understanding, it's like there's the burger place, Small Cheval's in the outfield.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, you have to have a bleacher ticket to go there though. Um, but from my understanding, it's kind of like right next to that.
That's cool. Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the crowd. If you're with your buddies, you go out in the bleachers. If you're with family or kids, you go elsewhere.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But I love taking people that never been there before. And I always tell people if you're going to Wrigley, like you almost got to go twice in a row.
Yeah, just spend the weekend. Find up Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, because I'm not even talking like during the game. Like during the game, like one day you're probably gonna be like walking around the stadium,
Yeah,
and then the next game you can just sit there and just watch the game.
yeah, totally. I would agree with that.
You got any favorite bars around Wrigley?
Dude, so we, Guthrie's walking to the game. We hit
Hmm.
Guthrie's, because that's a staple. And then, I'm a big Murphy's fan on the way out,
Yes.
you know.
Okay, that's so funny. I'm a Murphy's on the way in.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why, but I'm a Murphy's on the way in. And then on the way out, it just depends on the day.
Yeah.
If it's a weekday, like a weeknight game, then I'll hit like one of the music bars,
Yeah.
where it's like Tin Roof or maybe Old Crow. And then if it's a Saturday, if I can get into Sluggers, I usually hit that.
I think Murphy's is your best chance to see a celebrity.
Oh, really? You think so?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. Who have
That's
you seen some people?
Oh yeah, that's where like Eddie Vedder hangs out.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
So I've seen every, I shouldn't say every, I think every Pearl Jam concert at Wrigley.
Oh, that's incredible.
So he's always there when he's in town.
Yeah, does he sit in the press box area or like where does he just sit like because Bill Murray will just be like in the stands.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he sits. I think he's just up in the press box usually, but you never know with that guy. He could be anywhere. Yeah, Murray's always in the crowd. Who else is out there? Jack White occasionally.
Uh-huh.
Who's that one actor dude? His name slipping my mind. Sits right behind home plate.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not great in the actor world, but have you seen the guy who sits behind home plate, has a pink hat?
Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever met him or anything? Like,
No, but I read the story about him. It was
yeah.
like he wears that hat so his wife knows he's at the game or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that. Something like that.
That's what I
Yeah.
something like that. I don't know if I want to be seen.
I know, I know. That's like my dream retirement is I just
Go to
literally I mean everyone in my life knows is my year I retire, I'm gonna go to all the games at Wrigley at home and just sit there and just have a good time.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah,
Or
that's
be a
good.
vendor. You could be a vendor.
Yeah, I could be a vendor, exactly. But those vendors, man, some of their stories are on TikToks and Instagram and like those are lifelong people.
Yeah, oh yeah. They're if once you get in, you don't leave.
Yeah, it's like the professional. They did the classic like picture of like them in the 80s and then picture of them
Right.
now. And
Yeah,
like it's so funny how people don't change their haircut. You know what I mean? If you like some of these guys had like the ridiculous afro and now they're older, like their hair's kind of like not the same, obviously, but they still kind of have the vibe of like they would have an afro if they could, kind of thing.
there's the one
Mustaches.
black dude that's jacked that wears this shirt that's too sizes too short, and I saw him at the United Center too. He's a vendor there too.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, part-time, well, full-time, I guess is probably what that is.
Totally. So what do you think your prediction is this year?
Yeah, so I got 91 wins, winning
Nine.
the division.
Okay.
So I think that's just enough to win the division. It's not going to be the top of the league or anything. But you know, one thing that's upsetting me every single day of watching the Cubs lose, if they lose, is lack of intensity,
Yeah.
right? One of my friends, Cubs baseball channel, who's like the big dude in this space. Like we always talk about that, about how sometimes they play like millionaires that play baseball
Yeah.
and they don't play like baseball players.
But do you think that part of that is like takes a little bit to ramp up with for the long season and it's still shitty out and it's like,
Well, no, I'm just talking even down the stretch last year.
oh yeah, I
You
totally.
know, like I just feel like sometimes like, but I will say like I've been tough on them, but the last few games, like the bats have been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everybody's hitting. I mean, everybody's hitting. They're taking turns. I mean, yesterday they had like 16 runs. You know, Kelly, the new catcher, went for a cycle first time in like since
Yeah,
the
he's
80s.
good, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I always have worry about Craig Counsell, and we can talk about that in a second. But I got to give you the floor. What do you think, and how are you feeling?
Well, I was thinking more like somewhere like 80 to 85
Okay.
range. I think that they got some young talent, right? That needs to be developed. But I think the thing they got going against or going for them is that division doesn't look very strong. So like the Brewers are 0-4, right?
Right.
So that I think that'll help them if they can have a average division to work against. But I'd put them at 80.
Okay. I mean, they have no excuses not to win this division because
Yeah,
I think it was reported that their cap is $100 million more.
yeah,
You know what I mean, than these other teams.
right.
And so there's really just no reason to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm really sick of Chicago Cubs not being at that premium brand of baseball. Like it's kind of a joke, right? Like Chicago, in my opinion, is the greatest city in the world. It's definitely top three cities in the United States. And this is probably this is like the city's team, in my opinion, too.
What's their cap versus like the Dodgers?
Oh, Dodgers are like way more than them.
Yeah, because they're like 8-0 or something already, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not like the biggest like analytical baseball person, but I'm pretty sure their roster is like close to perfect in terms of 1 through 9.
Yeah,
And their pitchers, like their third best pitcher could be our starting pitcher, is how I've heard it. I don't know. I mean, our starting pitchers are actually pretty good, but I mean, they're just out the wazoo with investment.
not like the White Sox who with they 6 guys with Tommy Johns in 1 week, 1 month or something stupid like that.
That's what's so hard about being a that's what's so hard about being a White Sox fan is they go in these like 10-year runs where they're 9 years horrible, 1 year
Right.
good.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like they have to get all these picks because they trade everyone, and then it takes years for those players to come up. They have one good year and then they sell.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what is that?
Yeah. It's a poor management is what it is.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, so we'll hopefully see. I mean, do you like Craig Counsell, the manager?
Yeah, I think he's doing a good job, don't you?
Yeah, I do like him, but he does bug me sometimes about like his lack of intensity.
He is, yeah, kind of like even keel all the time, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I just like maybe I grew up playing football and hockey too much in my life, but I just think that sometimes as like a coach or a manager, you got to be able to give a motivational speech and you got to be able to get on some people.
You gotta, yeah, you gotta hold people accountable. You gotta get on their ass, especially when you're dealing with multimillionaires. Like,
Oh,
you paid a lot of money to drag ass out there. Let's go.
I know, I know. Every time I see one of those contracts, like people think it's so normal. Oh, oh, said person makes 10 million a year. I'm like, 10 million a year is like an ungodly amount of money.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just an absolute joke. I mean, but
I'm with you though. A little more intensity would be nice.
yeah, especially with like $17 beers at Wrigley.
Yeah, what is that? What they are this year?
I mean, that's what they were last year. Like you get a tall boy of old style, man. It's like,
And they're riding the inflation tariff, uh, you know,
yeah,
deal.
I know, I know. I mean, that is the most ridiculous thing of Wrigley is the beer prices.
Yeah,
As a
and they're almost forcing you to get drunk before you get
pretty much. Yeah, Murphy's got to be loving it.
there, right?
Because Murphy's you get one for like 10. You go in the stadium, it's like an extra $6 a beer.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild.
You ever done one of the rooftops?
Yeah, so we did a company event actually last year. We rented one out, my company, and on the I'm trying to think the Waveland side. It was a good time,
Yeah.
It's unless you're like really focusing on the game, it's hard to watch the game.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a all you can drink fest.
Yeah, it's more,
It's an all you can eat fest is how I view it.
yeah, it's like going over to your buddy's house to watch the game. You're watching it, but you're really not watching it.
Yeah, you can physically watch the game,
Yeah,
but most likely you're gonna be on the second level just chatting it up with people.
exactly. If you're not baking in the sun on the top, you're in the second level just shooting the shit, watching the game on the TV. Might as well go to Murphy's.
Exactly. My tech company that I work for, we had the same thing. Like they rented out one of them, and it was like a couple years ago, and it was though an amazing event for like a group of people that all know each other.
Yeah, it is definitely a fun time.
Yeah, no doubt. So I got to know a little bit more about your plumbing and HVAC company. When did you get it started, and what do you guys service? Just out of
So
curiosity.
yeah, so we're Deljo Heating and Cooling and now Plumbing. We're a
Great.
103-year-old Chicago-based company, um,
Jeez.
and we for the longest time just serviced the north side of Chicago exclusively. And now we serve the northern suburbs along as well as the north side of Chicago. But yeah, we recently added plumbing to our repertoire, so we're fully licensed plumbing operation, and we do, mainly residential homeowners. The neighbors in Wrigley and the people in Lakeview. All surrounding the stadium is really our specialty. Is this area? So, we really we got a lot of Cubs fans that work for us, a lot of service techs and plumbers that are Cubs fans, lifelong Cubs fans. So yeah, we service the north side of Chicago and the suburbs, and mainly residential, like commercial operation that does home services for all the Cubs fans out there.
There you go. There's got to be a Cubs discount.
Yeah,
There's got to be like a under the table. Hey, if you're a Cubs fan, it's an extra
bring
10%
your
off.
is maybe something like bring your empty beer
Yeah,
and get a discount.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not steal, but if you bring out a Cubs cup and you get an extra 10% off, that would be a good promotion. You should think about that.
You might be onto something.
Yeah, I mean, Cubs fans are some of the most passionate people, I tell you,
Yeah.
and nationwide too.
Yeah, I mean, you regardless where you go. Like I'm heading to Scottsdale this weekend, and I'm sure I can find a Cubs bar. You
That's
know,
so funny you said that because like my example was gonna be that I was hiking up Camelback in Scottsdale wearing my Beers by the Ivy stuff, and multiple people actually were like, "Oh wait, is that Cubs?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, it's my podcast."
I'm literally going to do that this weekend.
Yeah, and with the minor leagues team there, they actually do have a lot of Cubs fans
Yeah,
up in
I
those
mean,
parts.
I've been in Mexico and like people wearing Cubs gear and stuff. It is like a worldwide brand, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then just having Wrigley Field. Not, sorry to keep harping on Wrigley Field, how great it is, but just to have that attraction.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a memory that like, you probably don't forget if you go there with someone like, you're really close to,
Oh yeah, it's
you
awesome.
know? Unbelievable. You a Bears fan at all? I gotta talk
Oh
about
yeah.
this.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Here we go. Here's another one. How do you think the Bears are gonna do this year?
Well, like you said, I think the expectations are super high, right? They've
Yeah.
made plenty of moves to protect Caleb on the front line, and like, here's the thing: I was talking to this with my buddy the other day, and it's like every draft pick, they just need depth on the offensive and defensive line. If they come out with another receiver or quarterback, I'm going to be pissed.
Oh, I know.
Just
No,
keep lighting up the trenches, like. But the expectations, I think, are high after these moves they've made on the line are some solid moves. So I don't know. What do you think? I think they're going to be pretty solid this year.
I think they have the ability to be solid this year. I like the coaching hire and I like the O-line move. They just need to draft O-line, D-line until it's perfect. And then they
Exactly.
can go get guys like a Dunze or whoever the hell they want in the backfield, cornerback, safeties, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the bottom line for me as a football dude, O-line blocking and quarterback's recognition to call out blitzes
Yeah.
is what like. That's what makes the difference to me.
Totally. Totally. Just depth on the line.
Depth on the line.
That's all. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
If you can get average, whatever 3 or 4 yards a handoff because you're lying, not because you're running back, then you're light years ahead.
That's all it is. And the season's so long now.
Yeah.
Number one, I don't even know how these players are even doing it. Because in high school, by my senior year, I was like, dude, I feel terrible on Saturdays.
Oh yeah.
And so, I mean, you're gonna have guys go down. You're gonna need new guys for the remainder of the season.
Yeah. Totally. It is. You're right. I think the difference when I was playing football and probably when you were playing football, it's like we went hard Monday through
Oh
Thursday.
yeah, that is true. That is true.
They're not doing that. They're running. They're watching more videos and running routes than they are tackling during the week. Which
Yeah,
is better. Like we were full on, full full impact 4 days a week during the football season. And
100%.
I'm with you. But you're week 8 in Illinois. You're just like, oh god.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like cold out there too. And eventually, yeah, we actually had like 2 days, and they were like practice in the morning, practice in the afternoon, both physical practices.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like back in my hometown, and I was stopping by to say hi to like a couple of the coaches I still knew that were coaching. And I asked them like, "You guys still got 2 days? Still have like this big ass workout we used to do that was like a challenge?" They're like, "No, that's gone." I was like, "Well, no wonder why you guys are losing."
Right. Yeah. It's a lot different now. But
Yeah. You gotta have the pads on. You gotta be willing to hit somebody.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, given the length of the season, it's probably a good thing they're not full contact like that in the NFL during the week. But again, is that the other side of that story is that creating injuries that they're going weeks at a time without really having full contact? I don't know.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point because I've heard some like old time NBA dudes say something like that where like, oh, they don't like practice anymore, so that's why they're getting more injured. I would love to see a real scientific study that explains how like practicing and getting hit a lot actually makes you stronger.
Yeah, that'd be interesting for sure.
Yeah, because you ever seen the dude? Like, I don't know why I know this, but there's a guy who used to like hit his hand on a table, and it's like karate guys, like they're always hitting their hands,
Right, right. And yeah,
but their hands get like stronger over time.
right.
Like, so I wonder if that has any.
We might be on to something
I think we're on to something. All right, well, we'll definitely have to go to a game together. That'd be awesome.
for sure, man.
All right, well, appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, Luke.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it.